So hello everyone, and the topic is on clinico-etiological profile of superior orbital fissure syndrome. One second. So the aim of the study is to understand the various causes, clinical features, and management modalities in patients who are diagnosed with superior orbital fissure syndrome, visiting a neuro-ophthalmic clinic in a tertiary eye care center. So we plan this as a retrospective observational study. This is essentially a pre-COVID data for a year. So records of 48 patients were studied who were diagnosed with SOFS, and these were the parameters dealt. We included all the newly diagnosed SOFS clinically and radiologically. SOF syndrome differentiates from the orbital apex syndrome by the sparing of the optic nerve involvement. Hence, we excluded patients who presented with optic nerve compression in our study. And we did not consider traumatic SOFS as we wanted to see in our population whether inflammation or tumors predominated. And we did not include recurrent cases either. No surprises with the sex ratio as there was a gender equality. And with the age, the most common age group affected were above 50 years of age. The diagnoses were confirmed on neuroimaging, where non-specific idiopathic inflammation of supraorbital fissure, that is Tolosa-Hunt syndrome, was found to be the most common cause. As we can see in the table, an astounding 77% of our patients had Tolosa-Hunt, followed by space-occupying lesions. The classic picture of Tolosa-Hunt is painful ophthalmoplegia, but many of our patients presented predominantly with ptosis, and very few of them had pain. Only 3 patients in our study had pain, contrary to Dr. Chaitra ma'am's study or discussed previously. Hence, ptosis was the most common sign noted, indicating a third nerve involvement. Therefore, third nerve or the oculomotor nerve was the most common involved nerve, contrasting to literature where sixth nerve seemed to be a favored nerve. Followed by, so in our patients, third nerve was the most common, then 6, 5, and 4. The high prevalence of diabetes mellitus is another revelation in our study, as 30% of patients had diabetes mellitus, which makes the steroid treatment of Tolosa-Hunt a bit tricky. All the patients who were suspected with supraorbital fissure syndrome underwent MRI brain with orbit with contrast. And patients diagnosed with Tolosa-Hunt showed enhancing lesions involving supraorbital fissure and cavernous sinus. So whenever we found the non-specific inflammation, we started the patients on intravenous methylprednisolone, 1 gram for 3 doses every day. Whenever we found any other causes such as space-occupying lesions and other causes, we refer the patients appropriately. So to briefly discuss, supraorbital fissure is going to be a pear-shaped aperture in the orbit which lets out several important neurovascular structures. Any pathology compressing these nerves coming out of SOF can cause the pathology, and the most common involved segment is going to be the middle part of supraorbital fissure, as evidenced in our study as well. The most commonly involved nerve is sixth nerve, as literature says, but in our case, it was the third nerve. These are the clinical features. When 3, 4, 6 nerves are involved, there's going to be an external ophthalmoplegia with ptosis and efferent pupillary defect. And the fifth nerve involvement accounts for pain and paresthesias. The most common cause for supraorbital fissure syndrome in Western literature is trauma. There are 3 reasons why trauma is going to be more prevalent: because of displaced bone fragments, bleeding, and edema. Tumors and inflammatory pathologies play a major role, and in our case, it was the very important non-specific inflammatory cause, that is Tolosa-Hunt syndrome. So to briefly describe, it is an idiopathic non-specific inflammation. It's a focal non-specific inflammation at the supraorbital fissure, orbital apex, or cavernous sinus. And the important feature is they show a dramatic response to intravenous steroids. It is essentially a diagnosis of exclusion. So in essence, we had these 3 letters, THS, predominating our patient study, and third nerve was the most commonly involved nerve, contrary to sixth cranial nerve, and 34% of patients had diabetes mellitus. So is there a link between that? We have to look for it. And when patients are going to have diabetes, again, it poses a challenge for us to treat with intravenous methylprednisolone. So to conclude, the diagnosis is essentially clinical, and imaging studies play a huge role in confirming the diagnosis and gives us an insight into the underlying etiology. And as with many neuroophthalmic conditions, a team of specialists give us the best possible outcomes for our patients. So thank you so much.
Anish, do you have any MRI images of your patients to show us?
No, sir. I don't have any MR images to show now, but all of them present with these enhancing lesions with contrast.
So what are the features of inflammation on an MRI, contrast enhanced MRI in the superior orbital fissure area?
The MRI reports told that there was an enhancement lesion, primarily focused on the cavernous sinus and expanding to supraorbital fissure.
Okay, how do you know it is inflammation?
Sorry, sir.
How do you know it is inflammation?
The most common radiological finding in Tolosa Hunt was this non-specific inflammation involving cavernous sinus and supraorbital fissure.
No, what?
Tolosa Hunt is a diagnosis of exclusion.
How do you say it's inflammation? Nothing else.
Based on radiologist's opinion, we ruled out space-occupying lesions. So there are two other inflammatory conditions. One could be an orbital pseudotumor. The second could be Tolosa Hunt. And orbital pseudotumor patients will present with proptosis and predominant orbital symptoms. So we diagnosed as Tolosa Hunt.
Okay, just one word of advice here quickly. Tomorrow I'm going to have a presentation on neuroimaging in the afternoon. There's one point which I'd like to make. The radiologist is not a clinician, so he will use the word inflammation just so that he is not, is not going to give you the exact diagnosis. He is not implicated in it. So be careful. Please take two opinions, discuss with the neurologist, discuss with the neurosurgeon, and then decide whether it is inflammation or something else.
Okay, sir. Sure.
Thank you, doctors. It was a wonderful